Hello and welcome to Hedgewitch Hearthcraft. I'm Caitlin Rhiannon. Thank you so much for joining me for this look at the week ahead. I'm going to be using tarot cards and oracle cards to get an idea of the energy for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, and how we can best navigate throughout or within those energies. So I'm going to be pulling 2 cards for every sign of the Western Zodiac. The first card will be from the Fairy Tarot, and that'll give us an idea of what we're going to be dealing with over this next week. And the second card will be from the Faeries Oracle, and that will give us some advice on how to navigate throughout or within the energies of the week. At the very end, I'll also be pulling a Universal Manifestation card, so if you skip to the cards that are pulled for your sign, make sure you also jump to the very end of the video to get a little bit of that extra goodness in your life for this week. So since it is Scorpio season, let's go ahead and get started with our lovely Scorpios. Scorpio, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Queen of Leaves. So over this next week, there's a lot more understanding of your energy, understanding of yourself, understanding of the world around you and the situations that you are directly involved in. There is a stronger connection both to your mental self, to your understanding, that sense of clarity, and to your energetic self, your understanding of your passions, of what makes you happy, of what feeds your desires and fuels you and drives you forward. And as you are connecting all of these things, as the puzzle pieces are falling into place, this might not be the week to be talking about everything that you are understanding and all of the things that you are learning. There's a little bit of secrecy over this next week. You're figuring things out, you're gaining more clarity. But this is for you, not necessarily for anybody else. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is the Master Maker. So over this next week, as you are gaining more understanding of yourself and what you can do and what you can do in the world and how you can impact the world especially, you're being asked to really pay attention to exactly what it is that you can do. What can you manifest? What can you actively get done right now? Don't worry about what you can't deal with. As this understanding comes in, you'll have a deeper knowledge of what you can do versus what you can't do. And this Master Maker comes in to say, pay attention to what you can. Once you know what you can't do, you can set it aside and fully focus on making things happen. Sagittarius, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020. Is the 2 of Bells reversed. So over this next week, you really want to share. You really want to be present and be part of the world, but especially to be part of the world in your partnerships, in your relationships, and in your involvement with other people. The risk this week is that you may end up sharing what isn't yours to share. This could mean giving away information or secrets that were not really yours to divulge, or sharing resources that aren't fully yours to offer, making promises that you should probably be clearing with somebody else before promising to a whole other party. I know that you want to help, I know that you want to be supportive and be there, but there's also this risk that you just can't afford to share everything you want to right now. You don't necessarily have all of those resources to give away. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is Indy, also reversed. So being an energy of indecision, when this is reversed, a decision just needs to be made. It isn't going to be an easy one. It is probably going to be a harder one. But if you don't make a choice, the choice will be made for you. So when it comes to this sharing, you need to be balancing out what is yours and what isn't yours. And a decision needs to be made, yes. But you may need to discuss with somebody else what direction that decision ends up going in before you can finalize it yourself. Capricorn, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Knave of Leaves reversed. So there's a little bit of mental frustration over this next week. There is some confusion. There is a sense of not really knowing what to do with yourself, with your mind, with your energy in general. It's kind of like you're spinning your wheels And there is a risk of you taking that out on the other people in your life, especially the people who maybe aren't making things easier for you. If they're not necessarily, getting in the way, but they're being an annoyance, a nuisance, there's a risk of lashing out and of pushing your frustrations onto their shoulders. And it's not really that it's their fault. It's not their burden to bear right now. This is kind of a projection issue. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is Gotcha. So, Gotcha. This is a surprise challenger that shows up when we aren't really paying attention. So, with all of this mental muddiness, you're really being asked to slow down and look around and make sure that you know what is coming towards you. Don't dwell on the past. Don't look sideways at issues that don't really pertain to you right now, that aren't actually relevant. Leave some things be and try not to let your mind run away with you right now, because this gotcha energy will trip you up if you aren't looking both ways. So make sure, look both ways before you cross the street. Aquarius, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Ace of Acorns. So over this next week, this is an excellent time for manifestation, especially where the material world is concerned. So work and savings and building up your resources, building up your stores for winter. This is an excellent time to be working on that, Aquarius. This is a good time for planting seeds, for planning, and for figuring out what it is that you want long term and how to go about manifesting or making that happen. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is the Soul Shrinker. So as you are focusing on the material, you are really being asked to make sure that even if the material world is a priority right now, that it is not your only concern, that you are balancing out your spiritual self and your emotional self and your mental self with your material self. Work is important. Money is important. Our resources are important. But the financial resources are not our only resources. So if you're finding yourself especially emotionally or spiritually disconnected or drained, try to rebalance your energies to give validation to those sides of yourself as well. Pisces, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Six of Hearts. And so over this coming week, there is a real opportunity for emotional indulgence, for diving deep into your emotional self and addressing and assessing what makes you feel good, what works for you, what doesn't, and how to clear what doesn't work from your life. Now, for the most part, the focus is on the pleasure. There is this sense of overwhelming yourself, overwhelming your senses with the things that make you feel good, and dwelling or focusing primarily on those things that make you feel good, almost a risk of avoiding the bad. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is Jiu the Slow reversed. So Jiu the Slow, because he's reversed, this is not necessarily advice to slow down or to take one slow, meandering step at a time. Instead, it's almost a bit of a red flag or a yellow flag, just a caution, a heads up that you're running the risk of getting trapped in pleasure, essentially, of falling into such positive, happy, fulfilling emotional experiences that kind of are not as deeply fulfilling as you think at the moment. If you are overindulging your emotional senses, there is a risk that you are keeping yourself stuck or keeping yourself from progressing as quickly as you could. So yes, pay attention to the good and love the good and enjoy the week, but make sure that you're doing the work that needs to be done as well. Aries, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Ace of Hearts. So over this next week, there's especially an emotional presence in your life, reconnecting to your feelings, connecting to what makes you feel happy, to what makes you feel genuinely fulfilled, to what actually matters to you this week. There's kind of a tenderness, a gentleness, a vulnerability over this next week as you are starting to reopen emotional doors that may have been closed or even locked for a little while, a long while. Aries, you're opening up, and it's mostly positive. There's a little bit of intimidation here, but overall there's real optimism over this next week. Now, the oracle card that comes along is the Master Maker. And over this next week, especially as you are opening up emotionally and focusing on what matters to you and what you want for yourself long term, the Master Maker comes in to show you what you can do and what you can actively manifest. So you're being asked to focus on what you can do. What can you make? What can you create right now? What can your newly reawakened passions inspire you to do over this week and the weeks to come? Taurus, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Three of Acorns reversed. So over this next week, it feels like you're doing it alone. You are at it alone, and it might feel like you're a little bit unsupported this week. It feels like you're a little isolated. You're doing things by yourself. You're not necessarily being taken care of. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your responsibilities yourself. It is up to you to make sure that you are all put together and ready to go. And if you have been leaning on other people right now over this next week, it might feel like those people aren't holding up their end of the agreements or aren't being as much help as you had anticipated. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is Gotcha. And Gotcha shows up to, this is the thorn in the road or the root in the path that trips you up when you aren't paying attention. So you're really being asked to slow down and make sure that you know where you're going before you go there, before you try to take steps in any one direction. Make sure you have a plan in place because you are doing a lot of this by yourself right now. You don't have a lot of people around you to catch you, at least right now, at least over this next week. So make sure that your steps are steady so that if you do trip, it's not going to be something that creates a complete catastrophe for you, that you'll be able to pick yourself up and continue moving forward. Gemini, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Queen of Hearts. So over this next week, it kind of feels like you're taking on a bit of a caretaking role. You're being there for everybody right now. You're being an emotional support. It feels like you are stable enough right now to be that person for other people, to be a caretaker, to be a mother hen sort of character in other people's lives. You're emotionally connected, and there's this need to make sure that everybody is okay, that everybody else is taken care of. As long as your needs are met, you want to be there for somebody else. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is the Singer of Courage. So as you are helping other people deal with all of their emotional weights, you're being reminded to continue to take care of yourself. Have the courage to face whatever it is that you are facing, whether that is other people or the world in general or your own self. You have this deeper emotional connection, and that connects you more deeply and more strongly to your spiritual self at the same time. And that kind of inner support is enabling you to face your fears. So the Singers of Courage connects here to say, you can do this. Listen to your inner voice of courage and trust yourself to face whatever it is that might scare you or exhilarate you. Cancer, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Knave of Leaves reversed. So there's some frustration. It feels like you're kind of spinning your wheels. It feels like you don't know what to do with yourself over this next week, Cancer. And the frustration of that can bleed out into other areas of your life. because you don't know what to do with yourself or with your energy or with your thoughts. There is a feeling of frustration in your work self at not feeling totally satisfied at the way that developments are growing in that area, as well as your financial self. Your family or home self is feeling dissatisfied because there's this sense of restlessness, of things not being perfect, of all of the puzzle pieces not quite feeling in place. Your social self, your relationships, there's a risk of pushing people away right now because you don't know what's going on with you, so you don't want to put that on anybody else, but that can lead to not only isolation, but snapping at people and pushing them away a little bit more forcefully than you might realize. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is the Pook. So you're really being asked, Cancer, to connect to your inner self, to connect to your own sense of integrity and morality, and make sure that you are doing what is truest to you. If you're feeling stuck right now, if you're feeling uninspired, it may be because you haven't been able to be fully honest or genuine with yourself, to be genuinely yourself. So over this next week, as you find yourself spinning your wheels or feeling stuck or feeling stagnant or cloudy or muddled, try to go inwards without pushing anybody away. Go within yourself and figure out what matters and who you are and how you can communicate that to the world. Leo, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Nine of Hearts reversed. So over this next week, you are feeling a little bit less closed off, feeling more willing to open yourself up, to make yourself vulnerable, to connect, especially emotionally, with the people in your life. There is a sense of feeling a little less isolated or a little less shut down and shutting people out a lot less. This is a really good one for communication in general, just being more open, letting people talk to you, letting people open up to you and dump some of their stuff on you without taking it on. Just letting people open to you without the expectation of you taking on their burdens, and you giving and sharing and giving of your emotional self without feeling like you are losing or being taken from. And the oracle card that comes along this week is the Friends, which reinforces this sense of feeling supported and opening yourself up to the connections and relationships that really matter in your life. You are supported, you are being carried forward, but not alone. Never alone, Leo. You have got the people that you need with you, the people that you love, and the people who want to see you succeed. They are standing with you, they are by your side, and as you open up to them, they are fully prepared to just keep on moving forward together. Virgo, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Ace of Leaves reversed. So over this next week, you might really not know what to do with yourself, and your energy levels are a little bit low. Your creative self, your passion, your inspirations, they're all just they're embers right now. They're not big, burning, blazing bonfires, and that's okay. This is a better week for renewing and restoring energy rather than expending it, Virgo. If you feel like you need to take some time to yourself in order to just decompress and release some of what you might have been holding on to that isn't actually yours to carry, take that time to yourself. This doesn't say isolate, but do recognize your own energetic limitations. Now, the oracle card that comes along this week is the Master Maker. So while you are resting and replenishing your energy and recognizing that maybe things aren't really working the way that you wanted them to, and the things that made you happy once upon a time don't really inspire you anymore, the Master Maker comes in to say, well, what can you do? If it feels like you can't do anything, then maybe focus on the not doing, on just the being, on just the existing and letting things happen. But the Master Maker is about creativity and creation. So there is something that you can do. There is more that you can do for yourself than you might be able to give yourself credit for right away. Libra, your tarot card for the week of November 15th to 21st, 2020, is the Sylph. So over this next week, there is intense inspiration and heightened intuition and a sense of, even if you don't necessarily know where your path is taking you right now, you are fully confident that with every step of the way, you will figure it out. And you're making your plan as you are able to plan it. There's a sense of confidence and optimism and looking at the beautiful things in life, and even the things that aren't inherently beautiful that you normally wouldn't see as beautiful. Libra, you're seeing the beauty in everything. You are seeing the potential and the possibility in absolutely everything. There is real connection to the positivity, to what things can be and where they can lead, not necessarily where you are right now. You're not focusing on the past. You're not focusing on what isn't working. You're paying attention over this next week to what is working and where this can take you. Now, the oracle card that comes along with this is the Singer of Intuition. So confirming the intense reconnection to your intuitive self and this flow of just like downloaded understanding from spirit, from universe, from source. The Singer of Intuition comes in and says, you're right. Listen to this voice. Connect to this voice. So over this next week, Libra, your advice is to listen to your intuition. Close your eyes and trust your feet to take you where you need to be. Listen to your spirit, to your own guides, and trust that they are giving you everything that you need right now to make your future exactly what you want it to be. At the end of my readings, I like to pull a card from my favorite manifestation, motivation, affirmation deck, the Super Attractor. So I have got one card for everyone who joins me for this reading, just to give us an idea of what to carry within ourselves over this next week. So the card that I have drawn says, in stillness, I receive. And this is such a beautiful, simple message. In stillness, I receive. Now, as you sit with this, because affirmations can be a little bit personal, what it says to you might be a little bit different from what it says to me. So do let me know in the comments down below your interpretation of this message. To me, in stillness I receive is just about slowing down and listening and letting things come to me rather than reaching out or asking or demanding or trying to force anything to happen. Slow down. Find stillness within myself. So meditate, breathe, ground, be still, and receive what is flowing to me and through me. But please, let me know in the comments what this one says to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this look at the week ahead. I hope that the readings in this video have been resonant and that they can provide just a sort of helpful, relevant compass to offer guidance, insight, clarity, whatever it is that you need to get through this coming week. Please like the video if it sang to your soul, if the messages in it resonated with you, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the cards that were pulled for your sign, what you thought of the Super Attractor at the very end, what sort of things you'd like to see in the future. If you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I upload weekly forecasts like this one and monthly forecasts, so make sure that you're subscribed so that you can stay on top of those. And I will add my Facebook page down in the description below. You can go and follow me at Hedgewitch Hearthcraft on Facebook or at Caitlin Rhiannon on Instagram. And I post a daily free card to give us an idea of what we should be carrying within ourselves every day, how to reach our own highest good. And that's also the best way to get in touch with me if you ever want to book a reading of your own. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this look at the week ahead. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for letting me read for you, and blessed be.